Hello, my name is Seegert, and I'm doing my presentation on sexual harassment. Do you ever experience sexual harassment in the workplace? Is there training or sexual harassment in the workplace? Do you know what to do if you or someone you know is experiencing sexual harassment? If you have searched to hear this presentation, you must have encountered this problem in your place of work. But do not be ashamed because this is not your fault. I cannot emphasize this enough. It is not your fault. There are numerous people that have been victims of sexual harassment, which is why this is a problem that needs to be stopped. This is an urgent problem in which a lot of people do not have the courage to speak up about. The first step to fixing this problem is bringing awareness that it actually exists, rather than just ignoring it. And bringing awareness to this situation is something I'm trying to do currently. All businesses need to have sexual harassment training put in place because this brings knowledge, awareness, and encouragement to victims/bystanders to bring their cases to light. In order to prevent sexual harassment, what should consist in the training to help victims and bystanders? Example number 1. Now to focus on the problem itself. The first example is the manifestation of power. This is one of the biggest contributing factors of sexual harassment. And this type of power usually affects more women due to men trying to assert their dominance. But it is not just women that are affected, because in reality, anyone can be affected. The second example of this problem is related to the last example, because everyone thinks that women are the only ones that can be affected, and this would be false. There are so many different ways to be sexually harassed in which anyone can be a victim. Sexual harassment in the workplace has begun to increase the oppression of women, which has brought higher demand to stopping this issue. Although that it seems to affect women more, everyone should be trained because this is something that affects all people. And the last example is that it feeds off the last example is a problem that affects everyone around them. And this is not just talking about the victim themselves. Bystanders also feel stressed and discomfort when having to approach sexual harassment situations due to the ripple effects that it might have on bringing a case out into the open. This is not something that people necessarily have much experience in handling, especially when it does not directly affect themselves. Now, there are an abundance of reasons as to why sexual harassment needs to be stopped, but I focus only on a few that I think are very important. So according to Blackstone, it doesn't matter who is being affected. It proves to have negative consequences on one's mental health across the board. This is the same for victims and bystanders because it creates numerous health issues such as just stress disorders, problem sleeping, lack of self-esteem, etc., which have the potential to lead into bigger issues, so it must be stopped at the beginning. Second, the workplace culture is also disrupted when sexual harassment occurs. It creates disturbance and discomfort among coworkers and divides employees from one another. Rather than people being able to cohabitate and work together, victims tend to feel more alone. In accordance with Blackstone, this is why people do not speak up, because they are afraid that they will be in the wrong. Lastly, sexual harassment is a matter of power over another individual, which affects everyone, not just women. It comes in many different forms in which knowledge on the situation will help in preventing this problem from continuing. There are certain actions that victims and bystanders can look out for, but people need to be trained in order to be aware of what these actions actually are, which then leads into the causes for sexual harassment. There are numerous causes to sexual harassment, such as the lack of knowledge. The main reason, and one of the main things that I focus on, is why sexual harassment occurs is due to the need to have power over someone else, in which these actions can be detected in some situations. People are either not aware of what sexual harassment is or what actions could be included as sexual harassment. This is why training in the workplace is crucial. Another contributing cause is the fact that bystanders are not doing anything either. Bystanders get caught in the middle of these situations, and most likely due to not knowing how to deal with them in a sufficient manner, they end up doing nothing. By taking no action, it allows the situation to continue. Bystanders can serve as a comfort for victims and let them feel like they're not alone. This is why training is crucial to the process of dealing with these types of situations. Insufficient training and educating in the workplace also causes sexual harassment to continue. Employers are not educating employees sufficiently on the problem of sexual harassment, in which this is allowing it to continue to manifest and happen. People question what actions could be considered as sexual harassment and what is not. What is a joke and what is not. So this is one of the topics that should be covered, is how to approach a higher individual if you are a victim or a bystander in sexual harassment. Now, there are numerous theories to finding a solution to sexual harassment in the workplace, but there's not a sure way to solve it. Something that could be done is that employers could customize their sexual harassment training to fit their own specific workplace. The focus should not be on how to avoid getting a lawsuit when there is a problem, but rather find a solution to protecting their employees. A company's training should not just be about the obvious factors of sexual harassment, but rather focusing on what people do not know about this problem. According to Nigel Piazza, there are guidelines on how to structure these types of training to make sure that all the main points are being covered, but it is part of the responsibility of the employer to expand and emphasize on concepts that directly affect their workplace. Another potential solution is that training should not just happen once and be done. Instead, it should be an ongoing discussion among their employees. Businesses should choose a format that best fits their company culture and continue updating and educating employees on the important and relevant topics as they go. Whether these are weekly, monthly, or quarterly discussions, it should be determined on the severity of its problem within their company. If the employers do not give urgency and importance to this situation, then their employees will not either. Which then leads us into the basic knowledge and education about sexual harassment, because essentially it would not be the same between a victim and bystander, but they're going to be, or essentially it would be the same between a victim and a bystander, but they're going to have a little bit of different specific topics on how to approach the situation, such as going to a higher individual. All individuals should know what they are looking for, how to deal with the situation, and what kind of help is available in order to cover from this traumatic experience. This being said, the training for a bystander should be different in the sense of how to approach a victim or employer about someone that is being involved. It is going to be difficult to approach a victim due to the embarrassment or lack of knowledge, in which educating bystanders on how to approach the situation should be included in this training. It is not going to be an easy topic for anyone to talk about, but it is something that needs to be discussed. Bringing knowledge and awareness to this topic will help everyone, and it will also help in making efforts to stopping the problem of sexual harassment to continue. I've also included my works cited on all the research that I've done on this topic. Thank you.